Alright, it is time. It has been about an hour. And here we go. Okay, looks like some first grader finger painted it. But will it work for what we are doing? We're going to find out in a minute here. We got to put decals on it. But let's take a look. Remember this? There's a dry. It's been an hour. All of a sudden, it stands out. That is liquid talent. And I'd have to say, it suddenly is more vivid than it was. I like the way it looks. And I'll leave it like it is. It's just right. As you can see, the liquid talent has just outlined things a little bit. No, it's not factory new. I know some of you have a stroke with the fact that it's not factory new. But I like it. It stands out now. Just go right on the layout. It's ready to roll. And it's dry. I'm not going to clear coat or nothing. I'm going to leave it like it is and run it just like this. Okay, let's put that guy aside. It is time to do some decals. Now I have cut the decals. I've trimmed them. And we are ready to do some decals. These decals are definitely not my best work. They are old, but they are what I had on hand. They are arch coal, which I do not like, but that's what we got to work with. So let's get them lined up. Okay, we're going to do 3 at a time. That means we're going to do one side each, and then as they cure, you know what we don't have? We don't have a tool that we need to have. We need to have our tweezers. Someone once said, and I've told you before, get good tweezers, learn how to use them. And that is no lie, that is definitely what you want to do. Alright, let's get, oh, okay, alright, oh, okay then. Let's get some good tweezers. Alright, so now we can pick up some of these things. And okay, so we've got our these little patches that go on. And dang it. Alright. Okay then. Let's get everything lined up. Alright, so at least we got a different number for each one. So let's make sure that we are not putting the wrong numbers on the wrong ones. So I'm going to line them up. So we've got, what we have got is, this is our ACI and the number of the car. And here comes the train. It is an SD40-2 pulling some coil cars. Alright, so there's our numbers. There's our, what are we going to call them? Heralds. And I've got these little plate C things. They may or may not be appropriate for this boxcar, but they're going on there. And they're purple. Okay, none of this stuff's going to match, but it's what I had on hand, so we're going to just go with it. Remember, these things, this is an experiment, and it does not matter. As long as they all got different numbers, they could go on the layout and operate in... They could operate on the... Okay, now, let's see if we can... what do we gotta do? Zoom out, maybe? I need you to be able to see what I have here. I've got a top from a pickle jar. I wiped my finger with some dish soap, wiped on the bottom, put some water in it. I'm going to use Micro Set, not Micro Sol, not Solvaset, Micro Set. Okay. I have a special paintbrush I use only for Micro Set. I've got tweezers ready. I've got a selection of X-Acto knives ready. So let's get down to business and put on some decals. I have a feeling these decals are crap. They may not even hold up. So we're going to do one side each here, get everybody ready, get our first guy out here. Alright, so since we're doing 3 at a time, let's go ahead and put 3 different numbers in the water. 4, 5, and 1 in the water. You see they're curling up. The dish soap is so that they won't float on the top so much. Now you probably heard using ammonia. If you make your own decals, I will tell you right now the ammonia is just a little on the strong side and can cause the numbers to just disintegrate. I don't know what I coated these decals in. It's probably in dull coat, which was not the smartest thing to do. But I made them like 5 years ago, and they may turn out like total crap. I'm going to put these little guys in here. Everybody gets these little placards here. Why do they get 2? I don't know why. Because they do. That's what I got. I got a whole sheet of these things I made. They get 2, that's what they get. And we're going to get these little plate C's. Maybe this box car is too old to have those. But we're putting them on because we have them. And they're purple. Alright, so there's going to be a purple plate C on there. That's just the way it's going to be. We're not trying to be perfect, but we are trying to finish this thing. And then, okay, the water, it's kind of full right now. So now we wait a second. Okay, this is the important part. 1, I should have something to hold this, because as you can see, there is not much left in it. That's because I've spilled it more than once. I should make a holder for this so that I can't spill it, because that is a long ways down for this brush. Alright, so I got number 1 lined up here, and he'll be number 1. So now it's been in the water for a second. If I put my finger on this big one, I should be able, yep, it's coming off the paper. Now people are like, oh, you need to wash off the glue and stuff. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to go in the micro set, and I'm going to paint it. I'll put some micro set here, and it's not going to really stay, but that's where it's going to go. Okay, and I'm going to take my tweezers. Working with big decals can be a challenge, so I tend to leave them on the paper, and then on my paper towel I'm just going to soak off some of the excess water, and then I'm going to slide it on here. Sometimes I use an X-Acto knife, sometimes I use my fingers, but I want the micro set underneath. Okay, there's 1. It's on there. Okay, now I'm going to take my brush. It's pretty much in the place I want it. I'm guessing that there is a heavy film of a dull coat on this, and there is no way you are not going to see the edges of these decals, because these decals are not that good. But they might be good enough for this. That's 1. Alright, let's get your little plaque here. See if that comes out. Yep. Okay. Now, if these ones, if they come off, I like to take my number 17. Let's find a clean one. Okay, take my number 17. Take it in my left hand, and I can pull it out of the water. I can bring it up onto the 17, soak off the excess. It's going to go right here. I'm going to paint on some micro set, and then on you go. It's going to be right there. Now, I don't have any of the data to put on here. I mean, I do have some, but it is just crap, so I'm not going to use it. Alright, let's get a little plate C. We need a little more micro set. We'll put our plate C right there. These plate C's, these purple ones, I know they are kind of crap. And you will definitely be able to see the film on these. And they are not up to my new standard, the ones I make now. Alright, now, taking a paper towel that is a 2-ply, I tear off one of the plies, so I got a super thin paper towel. I want this thing to be a little bit wet, so I'm going to dip it in the water, and I'm going to let it soak down into the paper towel. Now, fortunately, this is a smooth side boxcar. Now I can take the dry edge of this and I will soak off this plate C. And then I'm going to press them. If you do this with a dry one, if it's dry right here, you might end up pulling the decal off with it. There he is, the plate C's on. Go over here to this guy. And he came off, see? That's what happens when you do dry one. And his letters are smudging, so we need to leave him alone. He gets nothing more. That one is printed on white decal paper. So, and it's okay if you have the edge on that one, because that is something that's just stuck on the trains, on the placard. Okay, now I'm going to press the big one with the wet part. See that? I want to be very careful now, and I want to roll this thing off of here. Press him. Make sure he's not crooked. And I want to roll him off. There we go. That's one. Do the next one. Okay. A little bit of micro set in the spot. Okay. Let's take our tweezers, pull out the big one. Now, in the water, I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to just break him loose from his paper, but I'm going to leave him on the paper. Then I'm going to take him a paper towel and get the excess off. And I'm going to slide him on top of the micro set. Reposition him with my tweezers till he looks the way I want him to. Leave him for a second. Let's get our 17. Let's get our little placard out here. As you can see, it only takes a minute and they are ready to roll right out the paper. Okay, paint on a little micro set. And I can tell that I didn't seal this very good, so I got to be careful and I got to leave them alone, because micro set will take the ink right off these even if they are sealed. Okay, now this first one here, it's already curling up. So what do we got to do? We got to take our wet paper towel. We got to get him on there with the wet part, because he's big. And we got to carefully press him down. And even the wet paper towel will soak up a lot of the micro set. And then we want to roll it off. There it is. We can take a dry piece. You gotta be very careful with the dry stuff though, because it will tear them right out. Okay, he's just a little crooked. I'll put the wet one back on there, and I will just gently move him so that he looks straighter. Okay, he's on there. Okay, then we're going to put our little plate C on here. Our little purple guy. Roll them up onto our blade, get the excess water off, down onto that bubble, put them into position. Give them a second while I pick up a paper towel, take a little tip, press them with a wet piece. Don't do it with a dry one, or good chance you can wrinkle up and be gone. That's two. Number 3. Okay, here we go again. Micro set. On. I'm going to put it over here, and I'm going to put the plate C on all one time, because we're getting good at this. I'm going to break them loose. Take them with my tweezers. Get the excess water. Oh, and I dropped him. Okay. Still got him. He's still on. The big ones, keep on the paper as long as you can, or you will find them very difficult to wrestle. Let's position him. Okay, I can see at the edges he needs a little microset around the edges. We'll get it on there. We're going to give him a second while we'll put something else on. Position him carefully. As good as we can for the moment. Let's take our little purple plate C. Drain his water. On he goes. And let's take our little placard here. Drain his water. And onto our microset right there. Him we're going to leave alone. Okay, now let's go back with our wet paper towel, our wet 1-ply here, super thin paper towel, onto the big one. Press him. Press him. Since this is a smooth-sided boxcar for the most part and does not have ribs, see, this one has ribs. Going over these ribs is usually a 2-step process. You get them on there with the microsol, then you wait a while and you got to go back. You got to do some pressing like this, and then you got to let them dry up, and then you're going to go back with the Solvaset to get them to sit down where you want them. And that can be a very tricky and dangerous operation. Okay, now we're going to take our little corner. We're going to press our plate C. Soak up the excess. Roll him off. He's in spot. And then we're going to just clean off the excess from this one. As you can see, the microset left a little purple on my paper towel. Okay, that one's done. Now, let's take the pieces out of our water. Take our tweezers, get these pieces. They got glue on them, so the water will start getting glue in it if we don't get these out. Okay, next up. Next up, let's put the heralds in. We need 3 of these guys. Oh, and I got a little wet spot here. Clean that up. Put my wet one over here. Get this herald in here. See, it curls up right away. If I really, really wanted to do this right, I would have cut this in 2 decals because it's long. And these long ones can give you a problem. See if we can get them to sit down. We have a short time where we can work with these before the water will penetrate the coating, which could be acrylic on these. We don't want, and once it does that, the microset will go right after the ink and start turning it into basically into powder. All right, where's number 1? Let's bring him back. Okay. Now we're going to check. It's only been in the water a few seconds. Let's see if I can break them loose. Nope. Nope. Not yet. Give it a second. If I can break them loose in the water. If you get decals that curl up, sometimes you get them, especially if you're using Solvaset, they just curl up into themselves. You can possibly get them back into the water, get them unfolded. Okay, got one broke loose. Got one broke loose. Okay, they're broke loose. All right, microset. I'm gonna put them here, so we'll get some microset on there. Microset does not really stay in one place because we've got a gloss coat on here. Let's pull off one of these guys. Let's get his water off. Let's see if I can slide him into position. Not terrible. Not great though. Let's see, where do we want him? Not bad. Not bad. Let's paint him. A little micro set on the top. Okay, now we got to position him. And then we got to hit him with paper towel. Who knows why coal companies need boxcars? They have their reasons. Okay, we got them soaked up, we got them pressed. I give them a good hard press. Give them a good hard press. And then we're going to roll off. Okay, that's one. Let's bring in the next one. Little micro set. The idea is to avoid having to use the microsol or the Solvaset. If we don't have to use it, we are not going to, because that will disintegrate decals. So you got to be extra careful with that. That is a whole nother subject which we'll have to address some other time, but we don't need it for these. Get him painted. Make sure his edges aren't curling up. There's probably no chance that we can get this on here so that there won't be an edge. It's just not, it's not realistic for this. But I think we can do a good job. I think we can do a decent job. Okay, let's get him pressed. Beware of your dry fingers. You get a dry finger and you press on here, you will pull up the paper towel and you will pull up the decal. So I can smooth him as long as I have my wet paper towel on here. He ain't bad, but I can see some spots. I can see some spots we need to press. You see little bubbles under there. Try to get them all out in this phase where you're pressing. Carefully roll them. I still see a couple spots, so I'm going to really give them a good press. Give them a good hard press. I want to get those out now. Okay, he's giving me a little bubbly trouble, so we're gonna give him a little more micro set in the spots. Let's just give him a second. See if I can smooth it with my brush. I gotta be careful. Now, when I'm doing this, you only got a minute to do this. You go any farther than that, and goodbye letters. Your letters will be gone. Give him a good hard press. There are ways of getting these decals to go over even the most complex of ridges and things. We don't need to do that, so we're not going to. Oh, and let's get them straightened out. If I got to reposition them, I need to do it with a wet paper towel. Close enough. Close enough. We're calling him good. Next one. Okay, micro set. Paint it on. Oh yeah, this one is definitely ready to roll. This guy's been in the water now a minute or two. He's ready to come off. So let's see if we can get you on here. I'm going to get the microset underneath it. You can definitely feel the glue on that paper. Okay, let's reposition him. Let's press him. Now this towel has been soaking up microset, so there is microset on the towel. As long as I have him under this wet towel and I keep him smooth like this, keep smoothing him, I'm going to probably be okay. If I leave this towel on here long enough for it gets even a little dry, goodbye letters. There are some rivets on here, and I want to press down where those rivets are so that this thing goes right over them. It sits down on it. It looks like they're painted onto them. That can be very hard to do, especially if on these homemade decals, if you sealed them with something too strong, it doesn't matter what you put on here. You will never get them to sit down over those. If you use one of those craft acrylic sprays on them, you can have a great deal of trouble. One, the microset will attack it, but if you switch over to the microsol or the solvaset, it will start to disintegrate it. So if you use, I like to use Tester's decal bonder, that's pretty good. However, if you use decal bonder like that, you need to make sure your letters have dried overnight and then your decal bonder has also dried overnight. And I like to put them behind a fan on low. Not in front of it so it blows across, but behind it so it kind of pulls air across it. And that cures them nicely. But you're talking about a 2-day operation to prepare decals. That's not a same-day job. Ooh, I'm going to call this one good. We have now done 3 sides. Okay, so let's go for another round. Let's put in our number. Now here's the tricky part. We need to make sure we get the right number onto the right car. Okay, we don't want cars that have a number on one side and have a different number on the other side. Okay, let's get them down in the water. Now hopefully I've got this camera set so you can actually see what's happening here. I'm going to get them in the water. And these big ones, while they're in the water, I can sort of press them down if I want to. I try to make, when I make the decals, I try to make them a little bit robust. Okay, so we're done with the plate C's. We got some extras. They'll go in a bag. I'll keep those for later. Okay, let's go back to number 1. Now, as you can see, number 1 is set up. It's pretty well dry. It's about as good as it's going to be. Number 801. We are looking for number 801. There he is. Is he ready? He's just about ready. 5 is ready. 4 is just about ready. 1 is pretty much ready. Okay. Let's go through our steps. Microset. 3 spots. See what we got ready here. This is car number 1. So we need the decal for car number 1. Here he is. 801. Okay, we're going to slide him onto this pool of microset. Get him into his position. Give him a brush with microset on the top so we can get them edges down. Get him all around. Let's reposition him. Right now he's still stiff. While he's stiff, we can do a lot of repositioning. In a second here, it's going to turn soft. Next up, let's see if we can get a plate C. Yep, we got our little purple guy here. Now plate C, as we've already seen, the ink pulls up immediately. We are going to hit him with the wet paper towel right off the bat. Actually, we're going to use the dry edge and soak it. Not all of it. Now I can position him. Now I'll give him a press. Oops. Let's make him straight. Yep. See, I can see already a little ink coming off. So he was sealed with something different. Possibly an acrylic. Okay, how about our little break? How about our little placards here? Okay, they are ready. Let's pull one. Let's make sure he's not upside down though. Let's get his water off him. In his spot, we're going to leave him alone. Actually, we're just going to soak him, soak up his little excess. Not all of it. Reposition him. Just leave him there. Okay. Let's go back to this guy. It's wet time. Now our little wet paper towel here is drying up a little bit. That means when I soak him, like when I do this, the wet stuff on here is pretty much all microsalt. Roll him off. Make sure he's in position. Yep. Let's give him a press. Okay, let's roll off carefully. Good to go. That's one. Let's go. Number 804. Let's light him up here. Microset. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let's pull his number. 804. Get his excess water. We're going to slide him into the pool. I want microset underneath him. So wherever the microset is, I'm trying to get it underneath him. Okay. Let's brush him. Make sure we got enough microset. Get it on top. He's basically in position. Okay, now while we do our other stuff, he's going to soften up. Let's get him a purple guy. Okay. As we know, the purple guy needs to get the microset off him right away. Got him, he's good to go. Let's get his little sticker here. Oh, upside down. Okay. Get it under. Let's leave him alone. Soak up some excess. Leave him be. Now let's go back to this first guy. I can already see he's softening up. If you leave it too long, he's going to wrinkle. And while you will see instructions say the wrinkling is okay, on a flat surface like this, it is not okay. And as I've already changed his position. Let's see if I can get him straightened out here. If he starts to wrinkle, that means your time is up. And you start to mess with him, it starts to come apart. Beauty. Beauty. Looking good. Okay. Number 5. So far, I think we're doing good in that we haven't made a mistake and got wrong numbers put somewhere. Microset. Okay. Pull your number. Get your excess. Slide him off his paper. Do not take the paper off in the water and then try to slide him. You can take a large, like a cricket spatula, and try to wrestle decals that way. It's way easier to leave them on the paper. If you get them out, if they're floating free in the water, you are gonna. Big ones are very, very hard to wrestle. Okay, we got enough microset all over him. Okay, let's get him into position. Let him soften up. Okay, he's approximately where we want him. Let's get your little purple guy. Okay, purple guy down. Let's take his excess. Take his excess and leave him be. There are no ridges under him. We do not have to worry about him. We leave him alone, or he's going to come apart. Last guy, put him in his spot. Let's take up his excess. Okay, now let's see if we can quickly take these ones with the glue on them. Take them out. We have already used up like half the water in the thing here. And if we're doing this right, while we're letting that number soften up, we're going to get the heralds in the water so that they're ready. We need 1. And curl right away. 2. And 3. I'm going to get them to sit so they're in the water curling, but they're going to curl like this. They're going to curl like that for a second while we do this guy. Okay, let's get this guy down. Okay. Wet paper towel. In position. Let's give him a press. We were pushing the time limit there for getting this guy down before he started to bubble and wrinkle. Carefully roll the paper towel off and ta-da. Uh-oh. This guy moved. Put him back. He's got too much. Let's soak him up. Okay, he's in position. All numbers are on. Now let's get ready to do the heralds. We'll line them up. This one's first. This one will be second. And this one will be last. Got 2 extra heralds for the bag. I like to keep my extra decals that I didn't use in a Ziploc. I'm going to give you a tip. When you make your own decals, make extra. Never make just one. Always make extra. Because invariably, some of them are going to screw up. Alright, are the heralds ready? 1, yes. 2, yes. 3, pretty much. I'm going to get some more water on this paper towel. We're just about water. Let's get our little thin guy. Let's get him to soak down. Let's get him to soak down a little more. Because he's really drying up fast. Okay, here we go. Herald time. Microset. Boom, we're going to go assembly line on this one. Excess water out. Slide you off. Paint on the more microset. Let's get him painted on. We're going to go assembly line this time. We're doing 3 at a time. Just let's remember the order we did them in, though. Okay. One is on. We're going to let him soften up. Let's see if we can do this fast enough. If we screw this up, fortunately we got 2 extras. We're going to try to let them soften while we put them all on. And then we're going to press them. Let's try to get them into position. Try to get those edges with the microset so they don't start to curl. Okay, that's number 2. Let's get them in order. This was the first one, that second one, last one. We still got to press them though. We are not done. Excess water off. Some people like to wash the glue off. I'm going to say don't do that on ones you make yourself, because that glue doesn't really matter, but if you get it off there, you could end up wrecking your whole decal. Okay, let's paint them up. Let's get all of his edges. And let's we rub them out a little bit because this is a flat surface, so we have a chance of getting a really good. Okay, I can see number 1 is he's soft. I can already see it. Are we too late? Did we screw up? Did we screw up? Are we not going to make it? Here we go. Pressing time. Holy, this guy's already curling. Once they start curling, your time is up. You got to get them pressed before they curl. Now, if you have red to let them curl and then they'll go back down by themselves, I'm going to tell you that most of the time it doesn't turn out that good. So press them. Press them with your wet paper towel that you pulled from a 2-ply paper towel. Press them. Okay, that's 1. Okay, this guy's curling. It's time to start pressing. Press and roll. Last one. Press and roll. Okay, did we make it? Let's take a dry one. This can be a very risky business right here, using the dry one. You tap, 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 tap. Don't let him pull the decal off. Okay, this guy can be pressed more. I'll give him a second. How about this guy? He can be pressed a little bit. Let's press him. Let's press them rivets. You can press with a wet finger. If you are very, very careful, you can press with a wet finger. But right now we are running into the problem where we are breaking through the sealer and hitting ink. So let's not do that too much. Let's tap, tap, tap. Good enough. Let him dry by air. What about this guy? He ain't the greatest. But I believe for our purposes, he will work. See how that looks? Now, I'm going to roll. He is not terrible. How about this guy? It's pressing. We pressed everybody 2 times now. Not terrible. Ta-da! We have completed our mission. Decals are on. All right. Okay, did we get the right numbers on? It says 5, and it says 5. Okay, now the decals themselves have lessened the finger painting effect of a first grader on our model. We are taking some shape here. All right, now I'm going to rearrange my workbench here, and then we are going to move on to the next phase.